Okay, what we're going to talk about here is a subject that I think is very important. It's kind of a follow-up on a lot of things we've talked about before. The subject is about correction and punishment, fear, apprehension, and resistance. I think as you move along through the different stages of what we're doing here, you need to understand the difference between all of that. Years ago, I had a young man work for me that said to me one time, very good horseman, he says, "Ted, you know, I was here 6 months before I really learned when and how to correct a horse properly." And when he said that, it kind of struck me because, you know, that is the truth. I mean, it's kind of like you got to know when and what to do different things, and your timing is very important. If you correct a horse a minute or two after he's done something wrong, he doesn't know why he's been corrected. So how I can compare that, I mean, a lot of people handle their horses like a bunch of Walmart moms, slapping their kids and telling them to be quiet and telling them to behave, and when you get home you're going to get a whooping, all that stuff, and those kids aren't listening. They're confused. They don't know what's going on. Where the right way to do that, and I'm not telling you how to raise your kids, but you know, when you say sit still, he means that needs to mean sit still. That means sit up and eat your supper and mind your manners. Well, if you want to learn how not to do it, just go down to Walmart and stand in the checkout line for about 10 minutes, and you'll see plenty of good examples of what not to do. So, and I'm not trying to be funny, I'm just trying to tell you that's just kind of how people handle it. So you're working with a horse, and I'm going to correct him for doing something improperly. I'm going to punish him for doing something inappropriately. Say if I go to an obstacle and he turns his butt toward me and he's going to kick my hat off my head, I'm going to get my stick and say, no, that won't work today. We're not doing that. But if he goes to that obstacle and he's apprehensive about that, and he's looking at it like, "Ted, I'm not sure about this. I'm afraid I'm going to get my foot caught in there and I'm going to get hurt," I'm going to ease his unwillingness through apprehension, through companionship and reassurance everything's going to be okay. And you got to learn the difference in that, because I've had horses within 5 seconds show me apprehension and resistance all at the same time, and it's all handled differently. Where if I take him to an obstacle and he stops and says, "No, I'm not doing it," well, that's resistance. Move ahead. No, we're going to do it. But if he gets there and he looks at it and he's like, "I don't know, that water, is it 3 inches deep or is it 3 foot deep? I'm not sure about this." Well, we have to say, "All right, that's fine. Go ahead and sniff it and look at it. Take your time, and we're going to move through." Where I just think it's so important for everybody to understand that, you know, and I could go on and on all day about it, but to take a horse and get him to build his courage and get him to where he trusts you, if you punish him for being apprehensive, that's wrong. We don't want to do that. If you correct him for being resistive or afraid, that's fine. But I never want to punish my horse for being afraid. If I punish him, I want to punish him for being resistive or disobedient, maybe. But you know, I got to make sure I've shown him how to do it right first. And you know, if you get to where you're disciplining your horses when they're confused or when they're afraid, that's where everybody gets in a big problem. That's where everything just gets into a big mess. And that's where I think it's important that you really do a self-evaluation and think about what you're doing and think about how you're handling these certain matters. And if you don't know the difference between fear and apprehension and resistance, you better get to work on that, because if you don't know the difference, you really shouldn't have a horse, because if you're not careful, you're going to get yourself in trouble, because a horse just gets more resistive and more afraid, and it just kind of snowballs into something that and that road goes nowhere. I can assure you, it hasn't worked for anybody that I've ever observed. So but just take those thoughts in stride and use those as just as good guidance on how to navigate your horsemanship. Subscribe to my channel, watch our videos. We're updating things frequently here. So as things come up like this that I think about that would be helpful, I'm going to start doing more and more videos here. We've gotten our spring work done, so I'll have a little more time here in the near future. But thank you all that have given me good positive comments, and there's a lot of folks that enjoy our channel, and I'm certainly honored and humbled to do it and happy to help.